The Deep Dark Battle has to be one of the most anticipated LEGO Minecraft sets ever. Ever since the Caves and Cliffs update was released, fans have been waiting for a set like this, depicting the Deep Dark, the ancient city, and most importantly, a LEGO Warden. So does it live up to all the hype? Let's take a closer look. The set was sent to me early to review by the LEGO group, but you can pick yours up starting January 1st from LEGO.com. So here it is, set number 21246, the Deep Dark Battle. The largest set of this winter 2023 wave, with 584 pieces, and retailing here in the US for $64.99. Let's be real, you guys are here for the figures, and more importantly, the Warden, so let's look at those first. And right off the bat, I have to commend the designer on the amount of posability this guy has. He has ball joints in the arms and on the head, meaning that those can pretty much go any way you want. The legs and hips actually rotate as well as go up and down. You can put this guy into any pose you like. He's also virtually indestructible, as everything is bracketed and plated down very well. You can do a lot with this figure and he is not going to fall apart on you. I do think this Warden looks better in person than the official images suggested. The one thing that remains the most off-putting to me about this design is the height of his legs, which just seems a little too tall. And that's strange to me because it would have been easy to have shrunk those legs down by, say, one stud or so. I really like the new prints that are included here. We get two of the same print on a 2x4 tile for the chest, and then we have of course a printed 2x3 tile with the mouth design. The back of course is nowhere near as smooth as the front, but I really appreciate the suggestion of the spine detailing that you'll find on the official mob. Overall, yeah, this is better than I thought it was. The playability is excellent, and I think that's the reason for most of the aesthetic flaws, is to make sure that this guy is as fun as possible to move around, which he is, and they really succeeded in that. There's only two other figures included in the set, and both are new player skins. First up is the fittingly named Netherite Knight, completely decked out in Netherite gear and also holding a shield. I was very curious to see what the torso print for this figure would look like, since none of the official images actually gave us a peek. It's actually a reuse. This is the same torso from the Archaeologist in the Jungle Abomination Dungeon set, which I think is honestly okay to get a reuse here, since that'll be covered up by a chest plate for the most part. I also didn't have the Archaeologist since I had no interest in the Dungeon set. I was happy to see, however, even though that torso was reused, we do get a new head for this figure, which is brilliantly done. It gives us a fancy knight helmet for this figure, complete with some silver printing on the top. Upon seeing official images for the set, I was quite excited about the other player, which is the arborist knight. This figure doesn't have any armor, but does feature some really fun accessories and printing. This is the first time I'm seeing one of the new Minecraft hoe pieces. This time it's an enchanted hoe, done up, of course, in that lavender color. Cannot believe it took almost 10 years of the minifigure scale sets existing to finally get these, but I'm really happy we finally did. This is a great place for it, as of course you can use the hoe to mine skulk blocks with Silk Touch, and this player also has an enchanted crossbow. Perhaps I'm mistaken, but maybe that's actually the first time we're seeing that too. I love the sand green color for the prints going on here, but I must say that the face print color is completely wrong. Compare that to the hands. Those are supposed to be matching flesh tones, and they are not. So that's really disappointing to see. It's not even close. That needed another layer or two to get that right, and it just didn't happen. So that's really disappointing. It's really too bad because I was really excited about this figure, and I love the design. It's just a really lousy printing job that is, quite frankly, unacceptable. I've seen so much better on darker colors from LEGO in the past. I don't know why they continue to produce this kind of quality. It's really frustrating. So shame on you, LEGO. Do better. Seriously. I am happy to get two pretty unique figures in this set though, and I appreciate all their accessories and the way they're decked out. That brings us to the set itself, which is LEGO's take on an ancient city, or part of one rather. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on here. But first I want to say that I'm actually really happy with the size of this thing. They could have done a much smaller Deep Dark Warden set with just the Warden, maybe a small side build like this. Okay, that didn't pick off very good, but you get what I'm... Oh dear. but you get what I mean, right? They could have gone way over the top, made a set akin to the Llama Village, pricing it out at $120, doubled the size of this thing, and they didn't. They found, I think, a happy place in the middle for something that feels quite substantial, but not overkill, and I think it opens up the opportunity for a lot more people to get the Warden. And even though it is only a medium-sized set, I feel like we get all the essentials here, starting out with Skulk and Skulk blocks. There's dark blue plates crawling all over this to give the idea of Skulk growth, and I really love the environment in which we find ourselves here. There's a lot of details accomplished using the dots tiles, the 1x1 corner tile, and the 1x1 round tiles in light aqua, turquoise, and dark blue, which is great. We get LEGO's official version of all the Skulk blocks here, starting with the Catalyst, which uses the same modified 1x2 brick that they use for animal legs, with some dots tiles on top. The nice thing about this build is that, of course, it is block accurate, being the perfect 5 plates tall. There's 2 of those in the set. We also have 2 Skulk sensors. They use a relatively new teeth piece done up in turquoise, which I think is pretty fitting. It gives the block a nice smooth look, and it's also plenty vibrant. The highlight, of course, is going to be the Skulk Shrieker, though. There are also 2 of those in this set, and that actually makes use of one of the 2 pieces developed for the Shulker in the End Arena set. On the inside is a 2x2 round printed tile featuring some of that Shrieker design. It's very efficient on LEGO's part, and it's always fun to see them do stuff like that. If you're curious as to what that new piece looks like, it's basically a jumper with 1 stud on the middle. That's how our 2x2 tile attaches right in the middle. My one complaint about all the Skulk blocks is they're not attached to jumpers. They're all just tied down to the regular plates, meaning that it can be a little more difficult to take them off, and it's not impossible that a 2x2 plate might get left behind if you're not really careful. I would have liked to have seen them on top of jumpers just so they could be moved around or mined, which would make sense if you're trying to make sure you don't set off the Warden. Other items of note around include a skeleton skull, which is a nice touch, a piece of TNT, which we'll come back to later, plenty of soul torches, plenty of candles. There's also 2 soul flames up top here, and we also get a chest filled with goodies. On the inside are 2 snowballs for distracting the Warden. You get a nice health potion here too, as well as the ever important and very useful bone. It would have been awesome to have seen the new compass included in this set, printed on a 1x1 round tile, or perhaps even a new music disc in one of these chests, but alas, we do not get those. There's a few interesting structures populating this ancient city. We have a tower over here, this small Warden face, which is kind of fun, a very small altar with a single soul torch and 2 candles on it, and then we have this larger structure here in the back. And of course, there is a function associated with this, and that is the Warden rising out of the ground. It's a really simple mechanism, but I think it's quite effective because the structure is tall enough to mostly hide the Warden. You might see his ears peeking out. There's a lot of friction in this, so it can be hard to turn, but it does mean that you can leave the Warden all the way up without worrying about the whole mechanism falling back down. And for the most part, LEGO did a good job of color coding it to match the rest of the set. There's 2 Technic lift arms in the back, which are both in turquoise, which I really appreciate. They could have been yellow or orange or something, but they match in with the rest of the color scheme, which is great. Other than that, the main structure doesn't really have much going on. All the detail that you see is on top. There's nothing on the interior. It would have been fun if they had tried to make one of those like redstone mechanisms or something like that, but they do give us plenty out here, which I really appreciate. The other main structure, of course, is this tower. And guys, you're not gonna believe this. There's a piece of TNT in this set, so it probably blows up. This is not your typical TNT explosion. I feel this one has a bit more pizzazz than I'm used to seeing, as the whole tower just completely obliterates, falling into 5 different pieces. It's just activated by pushing down on this one side. So you get 4 columns, all of which are identical, and then the top of the tower. It is a fragile mechanism, as you probably saw earlier, and that can make it a bit of a pain, but I do really like the explosion effect it gives off. It's a little more dramatic than some of the other ones we're used to seeing, where everything falls off in one chunk. This one feels a bit more like an explosion. There's a lot of play space. on this set too, which is great for displaying figures, especially one as large as the Warden. You don't have to worry too much about finding room for this guy, which is great. There's plenty of places for him to create some epic battle scenes, and like I said, the Warden is wonderfully posable. I do like too that the majority of the city is actually raised off the ground a little bit. It makes this a little more dramatic of a scene, though does it hold up to its hefty price tag? Have I said that any of the sets hold up to their hefty price tag? I guess maybe the Panda Haven works out all right. It's definitely not as bad of a deal as I thought it was going to feel like. There is a lot of space to work with here, and it feels like a very complete set. But yeah, there's not too much in the way of surprises, but I do like the amount of new stuff we get here. I think the prints included in this set are great. The Warden itself actually is pretty good, all things considered. Just looks a little too tall. I really like the new minifigures, but they really screwed up on the printing of this space, which makes me a bit sad. No matter what though, I mean, this is probably going to be one of the most desirable LEGO Minecraft sets for 2023 and for some time to come. This is a set I would be very eager to pick up on January 1st, no doubt about it, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. I really hope in the future we get some smaller expansions to the Deep Dark Battle, some other recognizable ancient city structures so we can really flesh out this underground world. Do let me know if you are planning on picking this one up. I know a lot of people are. It's kind of a must-have set for the LEGO Minecraft fan. How do you feel about the $65 price? Is that a little too high? Do you want to wait for a discount? I definitely won't blame you if you do. But that's all for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great life, and I will see you next time.